our next guest is the architect of some of the top moments in BYU football independence history, moments like these.
On second down, Nelson again rolls aside, beats along. Touchdown BYU.
Here comes the blitz. Nelson to the end zone, touchdown.
Make the block. Throw the end zone, touchdown. And he chooses to run. And he gave it to him.
Ladies and gentlemen, the new radio analyst of BYU football joining Greg Wrubell this fall joins us right now in Studio B, Riley Nelson.
What's up, Riley?
Thanks for having me on, fellas. Boy, did I love throwing to Cody or what?
For a second, I was like, wait, is Cody Hoffman?
Is it Cody?
Is this a Cody Hoffman highlight or a Riley Nelson highlight?
Hey, congratulations, man.
Thank you so much. No, I couldn't be more pumped to have this opportunity given to me and to get working with, replace a legend and Mark and work with a legend like Greg and to be really selfishly for me, the reason why I'm most excited to be that much closer to the program rather than these few years of being a casual fan. Now we get to be a little bit more involved and especially the game day experience, which is what it's all about. To be back and a part of that, couldn't be more excited.
And you chose the 2019 schedule as well. That's a pretty good one. There's some nice games on there, some nice trips on there.
Yeah, no question. I couldn't say that, when the whispers are out there that Mark might have been hanging up his mic, I'll admit, I started doing some lobbying, hoping that the timing would work out, for maybe this year. And now that it has, those first four logos are as good of a slate that a good of a first month that any team in college football is going to have. And I'm excited to see what the Cougars are going to do against it.
Yeah, not surprisingly, you're a self-starter. So you throw out some feelers there. What were those conversations like initially when you said, hey, I think I might be interested in doing this?
I just said, listen, I'll work for food. Greg, I'm not going to take up any of your airtime, steal any of your spotlight.
Oh, you won't be able to do that.
I just said, listen, this is something that I listen to the radio broadcast. I mean, I try and make it to as many games as I can, but that typically ends up being 2 or 3 a year since I've been done playing, with my brothers playing up at Utah State and all that. But I listen to the radio broadcasts almost every week, on the internet or not. So it's been something that I've been part of as a observer, and now to be a participant in it. Threw it out there and went through, a series of kind of interviews and feelers, and they were talking to some other guys, and I just couldn't be more tickled and more fortunate that they chose me, and I'm excited to do a good job.
When did you realize this might be something that you'd want to do?
So my grandpa, who, again, not to talk about Utah State, but a lot of my...
It always comes out.
My heritage
is
a lot up there. So he was a coach up there and the athletic director, and when he got back from serving as a mission president, he did the color games for the basketball up there for not quite 20 years. I think it was 17 or 18 years. So going there and always being with Grandpa, in the pregame, postgame shows and seeing him do that thing, of course, it was something that if I ever got the opportunity, I'd want to do it. And then secondly, listen, whether I'm in the stands or I'm at home or I'm in the car driving, I'm doing it already. I'm already giving my commentary, whether it's my wife that's the audience, whether it's the guy sitting next to me in Lavelle Edwards Stadium or my brothers or whatever. I'm doing this already, so I might as well talk into a mic and see if other people like to hear it as well.
What's your grandpa's name again?
Rod Tuller.
Rod Tuller, okay. Yeah. And you had another relative, I think it's the Richards Building equivalent up at Utah State?
Yeah, that's my namesake, George Nelson. That's my great-grandpa.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
so his
Rod
dad?
Tuller is my mom's dad.
Oh, you gotcha.
Yeah, so
hey, you got some good relatives there.
But Grandpa Tuller was the one that made the foray into media, and hopefully I can do as good a job as he did. If, he did that for 18 years. If BYU and I can stick on the radio broadcast here for 18 years, I'll consider myself really lucky.
Yeah, the new BYU football radio analyst joining Greg Wrubell. Riley Nelson is with us in Studio B, the former BYU quarterback, ready to take his talents into the broadcast booth. At what point did you – okay, so let me go here. With your wife, okay, this is a significant commitment for essentially 3 or 4 months every weekend. What was that conversation like with her saying, I'm going to be gone basically every weekend for the next 4 months?
Yeah, it was an important one, no question. My wife, bless her soul, she she said, when I came to her, she said, I kind of explained the whole thing, and I was trying to be really diplomatic and like, no, but it'll work out good for you. I was trying to paint this rosy picture for her, and she just said, listen, you don't need to do that. You don't get excited about too many things, and you seem to be really excited about this, so I support you. And, of course, her family's big BYU fans. I got a brother that's living down here in Provo now, and he's wanting to come to all the games. Look, we're already doing football every Saturday anyway, so to be able to participate in this elevated level and do that, she was really now. We're yet to go through a season, so she's excited and supportive in principle. I hope to do all that there, but we have a ton of family support, and football's kind of what we do. She knew that when she married me, and so she's bought in, and we're ready to go.
This is when she starts to get a little worn down. This is when you say, "Hey, let's go to San Diego in November.
I'll take you with me.
Come with me to San Diego."
That helps, and she loves to travel, and so to be able to go, schools places like Tennessee, Knoxville, and San Diego, and even South Florida. That's another one that's later in the season.
Oh, this is a great I'm the new analyst schedule.
No
right?
question.
Like, well played, right?
Yeah, so she won't be able to complain.
Boston's in there?
Yeah, we love Boston. That's one of our favorite cities. And so, look, and the best part about it is I get to be at every BYU game in person and experience that game day feel, for good or for bad with that player. As an alumni, you still feel part of it, but you aren't part of it, right? Now this is a part I can at least say I'm on the edges of being part of it again. So looking forward to it.
You keep doing it until Greg retires, and then I'll take over for Greg, and then we'll do it. How about that?
Looking
that
forward
sound
to
all right?
it. Okay, I'm holding
Greg,
you to it.
Greg, is that okay? Is that okay, man? Yeah. In like 28 years, Greg's done. Okay, those first 4 games we've talked a lot about because BYU is the only team in the country to play 4 Power 5s in a row. Loaded up. Luckily, 3 or 4 are at home. How do you feel about the first 4 and the challenge that is those 4 teams?
Yeah, so I mentioned feeling back a part of the program again, and if I'm inside the program, you have to truly take the Bill Belichick model of we're gonna go 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. I know some people are looking at that first 4 and man, if we can come out 500, that'll be great. And you can't do that. You got to take Utah, then you got to take Tennessee, then you got to take SC, then you got to take Washington. Now that being said, as the fan part of me, how do I feel about maybe coming out 2-2? I feel really optimistic. Utah obviously is going to be solid, but I don't think they're going to be significantly better than the team that we were up on late in the second half at their place last year, right?
Even though Huntley and Moss are going to be healthy and in the game now?
I mean,
Moss
Armand
is a big game changer.
And that's true. But, you look back to Johnson. Who was the little running back that they had that quit and came back? Anyway, the running game at Utah has far more to do with the offensive line than it does any running backs. I'm of the opinion. And they're searching for answers on the offensive line. They lost 3 dudes to the NFL. They have some big void to fill. Now, that defensive front 7 is probably a little bit better than it was last year. But, look, it's Utah. They're always good. Huntley, I think, his health, but he has some questions to answer. And so – anyway, that's the first
game's
game.
Always weird.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. First game, the hype, BYU's going to have the opportunity to prepare for them they're starting now, 100 days leading up to it and all those things. And then you look at the other ones, great logos, but big question marks as far as programs go. Tennessee's just searching for answers. SC, obviously, was not a state in the program. There's Clay Helton's. They're talking about giving him the quick hook if the season, BYU really, in essence, could get Clay Helton fired.
They could pull him Matt Brown again.
Yeah, exactly. And then you look at Washington. I think Chris Peterson builds this program very similar to a Kyle Whittingham or something like that you kind of plug and play. But at the same time, they're missing a lot of senior leadership. And anytime you lose a guy, it reminds me of when Boise lost Kellen Moore and they spent 2 or 3 years searching for answers. Same thing with Washington and Jake Browning. So I'm really optimistic about those first 4 games. But being in the program, right, if I were in that program, it's all about going 1-0. And so the great thing about that is you start preparing for that right now. And they've been preparing for it since the end of last season.
Since the Utah game. I think through the Western Michigan game, it was we're preparing for Utah.
No question.
To a point, right?
No,
obviously you want to beat that team in front of you.
I agree.
but
Well,
that wasn't a big challenge.
Look, when you're that close and you can taste it, and you shared the 18 out of the last 21 have been a score more, and a lot of those have been, in recent memory, have been 3-point. Forget a score, it's been like a field goal or less. And so to be that close at their place, to feel, you get a couple breaks go your way, you come out of that with a win with all of the young talent that was on the field at that point last year, and so much of that returning back. There's no question that you take care of business in the bowl game, you put the beating on them that you did to show not only to maybe your opponent in Utah, but more to show to yourselves that snowball, that momentum is rolling into week 1, and you're ready and you're going to take care of business. So couldn't be more excited.
Riley Nelson, former BYU quarterback, new BYU football color analyst on the radio with Greg Wrubell, is with us in Studio B. We asked each other, what's the 100 or the thing that you're 100% confident in as it pertains to BYU football going into the season? So Riley, what are you 100% confident in?
It's going to be pretty boring, but it's the only position group that look, I'd love to say Zach, and I do have a ton of confidence in Zach, and it has nothing to do with him, but it's just when you've never come back from a surgery like that, especially on your throwing arm, Andrew Luck sat out a whole season because of the question marks with the rare. Now, talked with Zach, and he feels really optimistic, and the team around him does too, and I do as well. But that being said, 100% confident, I think, in the offensive line position group and the culture that they're building and the players that are returning. And being a guy who played behind an offensive line as a quarterback, I know when those guys are good and solid up front, the rest of everything else seems to be a little bit easier and seem to work a little bit better. So I'm 100% confident in that offensive line. And then I'm 100% confident in an intangible, the competition that good players are going to emerge and rise to the occasion in those spots. You mentioned middle linebacker and some of the spots in the secondary. That Kalani will foster a culture of competition through summer and fall camp where guys will emerge and be big time. I won't call them surprises, but they will make their name in the BYU program for this team this year.
Riley's ready to go.
Yeah, let's 100.
Give him a mic.
I got back sweating. Why 100 days? Let's go right now.
If you got back sweat, we're working, man.
Let's go.
Wow.
Congrats on the position, man.
Thanks so much.
Great to have you with us again.
It means you're going to hang out with us more. That's that.
No, I know. More you guys
We'll
is never a bad thing.
Lucky you. We have a picture of the new broadcast team. So
wow.
Look at that.
Here it
They've
is.
taken pictures already. Wow. That's
Riley
pretty cool.
Nelson, from left to right. Riley Nelson, Greg Wrubell, Mitchell Juergens, and Jason Shepard.
So here's the question.
I like the matching hands on hips on the edges and then the fold.
I was going to say, whose idea do you think the hands on hips was? It wasn't mine. I'll just say that.
Greg?
Yeah. Greg didn't even do it. You guys know Shep.
Shep. Oh, it was Shep.
Well, Shep's got those massive pecs.
Yes, he wanted to show his arms off and his pecs.
You
That's
bet.
1,000,000% a Shepard
Shep
thing.
at this point is
we'll
lifting
take
more than you are because
no question. Yeah, no, I look, those days are behind me. Let Shep win it. It's fun. I'll be his spotter on all the road or I guess he's in studio, but
You're
I'll
going
be
to do the
Shep's
heavy
spotter.
lifting
I'm
on the
fine.
broadcast, right?
In fall camp, when you guys are working out yourselves, then you'll spudge.
There you go. There you go.
Great stuff, man. Thanks for coming
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, have you signed our new flag, our Sailor Kook flag?
No, I haven't. I signed the Y one last time I was here.
okay.
I haven't signed the Sailor.
You need to sign the Sailor Kook flag.
Awesome.
Great.
Thanks,
Get it
Riley.
done.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate him.